everybody, it's Eddie Brill here for OG Talk NYC. I'm here with Vlad Grinberg, my co-host and partner in crime. Hey, Vlad.
Hi, no crime, just partner in on OG Talk.
I'll do the crime, because if you can't do the time, don't do the crime.
All right.
And we have friends of ours here today. We're very excited about. You introduced you introduced them to me, and we have Christina and Eric. Hi, Christina and Eric.
Hi, Eddie and Vlad.
Hey, guys.
Hey, guys, how are you?
Last time we saw each other, we were eating really delicious food in a restaurant, sitting very close to each other, remember?
Yeah, how things have changed.
I know, we're all calling from different places, but you guys are in the same room. I just can't, I'm even staying 6 feet away from my iPad, so that's really good. So anyway, so we're excited that you're here. We love all the work you do and the content you create. Can you let people at home know the kind of work you do, the kind of content you create, and where it's created?
So we primarily photograph and write about vegan restaurants, vegan products, vegan food. It's pretty much, I would say, our way of being activists, being vegan activists, just because we believe that the way to get people to go vegan is through what they eat. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, it's always like the proof is in the pudding, and just with good food, that alone can get someone to try something vegan.
Especially vegan pudding. If you're going to have proof in any kind of pudding.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it should be vegan.
There's so many options now that we just want to highlight all that, so people don't feel limitations with vegan.
Let me ask you this, Eric. You're called the Vegan New Yorker as part of the title. Did it start out just as a New York thing and go worldwide, or are you just mostly focusing on New York?
I think at the moment we're really focusing on New York and the tri-state area for the most part. But I mean, we try to highlight anything we come across in our travels or anything like that. But
I think the idea originally was, we created this when only 1% of people were vegan, and now I think it's like it's over 8% of people are vegan now.
Because of the Vegan New Yorker, huh?
Oh yeah, because of definitely, and all these amazing, vegan restaurants like Organic Grill and all of the, vegan products that are accessible to everyone. So I think, we started it. I grew up a vegetarian and with very limited places that really gear towards being vegetarian or vegan in New York. So, and we both grew up in New York. And so, I think that we have so much passion, and I think anyone that goes vegan is really passionate about it, whether you go vegan for your health or the animals or the environment or everything. And I think there was just such an excitement of seeing new places pop up that were either vegan or vegan friendly, and places that were starting to, really, to me, I couldn't believe it as someone growing up in New York City that grew up, being able to really just get a salad and pasta was the most exciting thing to get out to eat. And it still is exciting for me to eat.
But that's all, but there's so many more choices, and people who are vegan know that the most delicious food, once you clear your palate and your taste buds and get rid of all the poisons that we've been forced to eat, once you get cleared up, you eat vegan food, it's the most delicious food that's out there. And people don't see that. Now here's the next question for you guys. You say you're activists. Now when people hear the word activist, it has an aggressive tone to it, and a lot of times when you're a vegan person, people are always complaining that the vegans are too bold and they don't stop. Do you find out that you need to be active, or do you find out you need to just be an example?
I think it's more of being an example, to be honest with you. But I think that you can get more from what we're doing than, preaching and screaming in people's faces, or preaching at people that, are the other extreme of, maybe they're maybe open to being vegan, but they don't realize how cruel, the animal and agriculture industry is, not only for animals, but for the people working in those industries. You know, sometimes it's not about shoving information down people's throats, which I think can also be helpful, but everyone responds to a different approach. And I think that the approach we're taking and other people that do what we're doing, I think it creates more of an open mind.
Yeah, you know, I always looked at it like subconscious activism. You know, sometimes as adults, no one really likes to be told what to do. So if you tell people, you know, don't do this, don't eat that, a lot of times you just get shut out right from the start. So
not just with food. I remember when I was a kid, my mom, I asked her if I can go to a party. She said, if you clean my closet, you can go to the party, but don't listen to the album Hair. Now, I had never heard of the album Hair. And of course, the minute she left, the only thing I was ever going to do from that moment next was I played the album Hair. And I was a very little boy, well, you know, a young preteen. And it was all these, you know, naughty words. And I didn't understand any of them because I didn't really know. So it's funny how when we're told not to do something, we immediately do that.
So
absolutely.
maybe we should start saying to people, don't eat vegan food.
Ah, that's a great idea.
Don't go to Organic Grill. Don't listen to the podcast, The Vegan New Yorker, Vegan Connection.
And Vlad, don't give me all the money in your wallet.
Hey guys, I just wanted to add to what Eric and Christina said. For me, as a big fan of your content, I just want to say that for me as a consumer, not the person who involved in the restaurant, I'm always curious about your content because I don't go to that many places. My schedule is crazy, but I can always look at what new places are opening, what good dishes they have, and it's almost like you are saving my time, so I wouldn't go through all this ton of information that is around. And as a restaurant person, a manager of the kitchen, I see it's useful when you guys come in, you almost like help me to showcase my food. So it's always good on one side to see what's new places available. And I really appreciate your help as a educator and person people who do pictures way more and better than me, and you help us to showcase our best dishes.
All right, now Eric, you were starting to say earlier about content. You know, we have our content, and that's how people know what to do. We're being an example. What kind of content is it? And first of all, what's the name of the website and the Instagram? Just so people know immediately. So if they want to play along, they can look online.
So we're the Vegan New Yorker on Instagram. We don't have. I mean, we definitely own the veganNewYorker.com, but we don't create content for it as of right now. Our content is just on Instagram, and then the Vegan Connection podcast, which is on Spotify, Anchor, Google, and Apple Podcasts, and more. The content is mostly of food, but we have definitely exposed and more in our stories than food. Everything from vegan makeup to accessories, clothes.
But give more concrete examples. Like what do you do with food on the network and on the IG page?
We give insight into the restaurants. We photograph everything from, it depends on the restaurant. It really depends on, to be honest with you, I think I go deeper into it. Probably the more if it's a restaurant we've been to before, and they have different things, then I'm probably going to shoot more. It just really depends. But you see a lot in our stories, a lot of insight in our stories, things that you don't see on the feed. And we get just really up and close and personal with the food. And what we really focus on featuring is we don't go to just every random vegan restaurant in New York City and say, okay, we're gonna feature everything that we eat. I always say we kiss a lot of frogs to find content. And we only feature what we sincerely enjoy and we sincerely love. And it's really about, promoting really good food, and it's not just about it. Being vegan is not enough, because there's a lot of vegan food in New York right now. There's a lot of vegan burger places serving the same burger, for instance.
Right.
A lot of places, but they're not all that equally delicious. I'll just say that.
Right. Now, what about, is there an article that recently that you guys put up that meant a lot to you guys and you just went crazy researching it and finding out information that you were excited to share with the public?
You know, I would say every post we really put a lot of thought and effort into, but is there anything specific
Well,
to
I think
you?
lately, with the ongoing crisis
Yeah.
that everyone's facing, our primary goal is just to show content and show, how we could support the business owners at the end of the day. This whole thing is really going to have lasting effects on the economy and on, just the restaurant scene in general. So, we're just trying to do whatever we can to, help promote businesses and get them some,
and
orders.
people don't realize that there's such an emphasis on restaurants. Like there's such a need for restaurants in New York City because we've always been so dependent on them. Like for me, going to get a slice of pizza at the pizza place or going to the diner, like that was my normal growing up, like being out, every day wasn't like a fancy restaurant, but just that's like so much part of every New Yorker's life to basically your restaurants in your neighborhood are kind of like your extended kitchen table.
Right. You knew everyone's name. They knew your name.
Yeah.
And if they didn't, they call you buddy or chum or pal
Yeah.
or my
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah. And that's what makes New York so great, right? And is how we can all come together in these different types of environments, and we're not just forced to be in our own bubbles. And I think that's what makes New York so amazing. No matter, what you do for a living, or whatever, wherever you go throughout your day, these are like our meeting points in our neighborhoods. And so it's not only important, it's obviously a huge impact for people they can't go out to eat now. But what people don't realize is that there aren't enough grocery stores to maintain, the food supply that's going on. And these restaurants are such a vital part of New York and the tri-state area.
Especially in New York.
What'd you say?
Especially in New York, when people don't cook that much or don't
That's
even
my
have
point. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, part of the fabric. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. And then, we were, the people like Vlad who own the restaurants. I mean, these people are now hurting. Well, what about the restaurant staff?
It's awful. It's so what we've been doing is, to be honest with you, when this started first happening, we took like a pause and we were like, okay, what are we going to do? And we have a tremendous amount of content that people have never seen. So what we've been doing is just promoting places that are open, where you can get vegan food right now. It's obviously, plated shots from when we've been there previously, but we're doing anything we can to promote, the restaurants, businesses that are available, that are still in business. And so one thing, we were approached by a t-shirt company called Bonfire to design a shirt, and we just collaborated with them on a design. We're very excited about it, and the campaign is about to launch. Absolutely all proceeds are going to go to the Restaurant Workers Community Fund, which is a new fund that was just created, and it's to help not only the restaurant workers who are like unemployed and out of nowhere, right? Like out of nowhere, the heart and soul of New York City, like that live paycheck to paycheck, don't have that money, don't have those jobs to and these are hardworking people. No one deserves this. So what is really amazing that they're doing is not only are they is the fund for people to, I guess,
For
receive
unemployed
relief,
people, yeah.
right?
And also restaurant owners, and I believe, short-term loans and things of that nature.
Yeah. Also, and in addition to the individuals receiving personal relief, restaurant owners will be able to apply to receive a 0 interest loan. So they're really and that loan is obviously for when things calm down and restaurants can start opening back up. So what's really nice is it's like they're thinking forward. They're thinking about, the now, and they're thinking about how can we get out of this together. And this is not, this is something that was organized within the restaurant community. And it's really nice to see these people all come together and try to find solutions together. And this is just one fund. I mean, almost
right. So how can people get to that fund? We'll talk about this separately. You know, is there a website? Did you give it? And I didn't hear it.
No, I have.
For
Yeah,
the,
so we're gonna be the campaign is gonna be releasing. The campaign is gonna be launching. Excuse me. Either today or tomorrow, and people will be able to go to a link in our bio and have the option of buying a shirt where all proceeds go to this fund if they want to do that. But then they can also go directly to.
It's restaurantworkerscf.org.
And we'll have that information, like I said, in the link of our bio of the Vegan New Yorker on Instagram.
right. And is this restaurant CF where the workers go to make claims and be able to get some help? And is that
well,
how they
what
get
happens? Yeah, they have to apply. There's a very strict and rigorous process to get approved. I think they just have to prove employment, that they were employed. Whatever the process is, it's very clear on their website. And they apply, and then if they get it.
It's broken out basically. 50% is for direct relief to restaurant workers. 25% is for nonprofit organizations serving restaurant workers in crisis, and another 25% is for zero interest loans for restaurants to get
Cool. Yeah, I just said very cool. It's really terrific.
And guys, how's the idea of a
Sorry. I'm so sorry, Vlad.
No, I was curious how the idea of a podcast came about. Why did you decide that it's your next step?
So I think that, whenever we go to any of these restaurants and it's just, Vlad, meeting you is a perfect example. I remember the first time we met and we chatted, and anytime we go anywhere and we talk about veganism, it's always so nice to see how passionate the restaurant owners are, and also the people that work there, the people running the restaurants. And there's always some sort of dialogue about veganism, and about what the evolution of veganism and contributing to the community. And I always love hearing everyone's story and how they developed whatever business they created. And so it always seems like a conversation that's interesting, and it's interesting to us. And we always say oh, what if this would have been recorded? And so that's really pretty much how it came about. I mean, it's not something that we have devoted as much time to that we would like because of life and work and everything, but it's definitely something that we are going to continue building off of. We have episodes that we from last year that we still haven't published, edited. We still need to edit and publish. But it's definitely something that will continue being ongoing for us.
What do you dream about as being the future? There's never an end goal because you always morph into the next place. But what are sort of dreams that you guys have that you want to do that's different than what you're doing now, or in addition to what you're doing now?
That's a good question. I mean, ultimately, I think
that's all the time we have. No, just kidding. It was such a long pause. It was like, okay, so no.
I just
it's important. It's important. I'm just kidding.
We tend to take it one day at a time, but we want to grow the platform and just make it so everyone feels a sense of accessibility to vegan food.
It's not just about accessibility to vegan food, because I also I think a big part of what we do is we try to prove to people that vegan food isn't rabbit food. You know what I mean? Even though I love a good salad. but
just don't eat a rabbit, because that would not be vegan.
Yeah, exactly. But
about the dreams, about the future?
To me, when I think about the futures, I think about veganism being even more accessible and less. I want to see it get to the point where at least 50% of people aren't vegan. That's the way I look at it. But in terms of what we're doing, I think we'll probably get more into. I don't know, honestly. Right now, all I'm thinking about is the pandemic. I think whatever ideas and hopes we were pushing for before the pandemic. I think that right now it's all kind of like on a back burner.
I think
All
a lot
right.
of
So how has that affected you guys? So people outside of New York, because a lot of people outside of New York City are wondering, because the news paints New York City to be the epicenter. And, I'm getting calls from all over the world. People going, what's going on in New York? Please tell us. So what's your experience? What's going on with you guys?
I think that for us, we've been very concerned about our parents, and making sure that they have food. And because they're over a particular age, we, are just extremely concerned. So I think just
Do they live close by? Are they close enough?
Close enough. I think just the challenge has been just getting food. I think getting groceries to them, getting food to us, and it's getting harder and harder. Like it's gotten to the point where it's impossible for us to get an online order. That's just really been, I think, like the hardest thing for us. We're really thankful that we're well, and we take a lot of pride and we eat pretty healthy at home, to be honest with you. We're doing everything we can to stay safe and healthy. But we're just taking it day by day. That's all you can do in this type of climate.
And guys, I have a question. As a couple, it looks like you're doing a lot of content creation together, and I know that Eric turned vegan because of you, Christina, helped him to overcome certain difficulties. How do you think creating this social platform and next step when you're creating a podcast changing you, and how it's benefiting you working on this content creation?
It's really interesting. So before veganism was like, even before I was vegan, when I was a vegetarian and Eric like ate regular, like, the way most people do, we were always foodies. Like we grew up together. We've been together since we were in high school, and like going out to eat or going to get food has always been such a big part of our relationship. So this was kind of like a natural evolution. As Eric went vegan, he became extremely like really, really very passionate about it. And I think it's helped our relationship in a way, because it's almost like this like hobby that we do together, that we're passionate about together. We live and breathe. I'm always looking up. I'm still, even though with what's going on, I'm still finding restaurants and looking up menus obsessively, because it's just in my nature. But I've always done this. I've done this way before the Instagram. So in regards to your question, I think that it's just been something for us to like, it's been like this baby that we have, that we've been, kind of like, or this project that we've been working on together.
Yeah, but it's just something we've been trying to nurture. Like Christina said, we've always been foodies. When we were younger, we used to opt to, go to a nice restaurant rather than, go to a bar or something like that. And that's kind of like, we basically doing the same thing. Now just our passion is
now
vegan food, and, we're just always trying to find, a nice vegan experience, a nice vegan meal.
The difference now is we eat our food cold most of the time.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
I understand, yeah. Yeah, I understand. And like you said earlier, it's like, and these people out there, they're like your children, and you care for them, and you put these, posts up, and people are going to them because they need to get facts. They need to get compassionate conversations. Some people like myself, we're alone, and the only communication we have is through our friends, through the internet, or some of the great reading and podcasts and the people we trust.
Yeah.
Do you think it's hard to get vegan food in this climate now? Harder?
No, definitely not. I don't think it's hard to get vegan food. I think it's just hard to get everything that you want in this climate,
Yeah, I think there's just, more demand, and there's only so many workers. You could only, get so many deliveries and things of that nature. But, I think a lot of business owners are doing their best to be pretty resilient and, find solutions to the problem and, and evolving with it. I mean,
what I really like is speaking about evolving, is what I really like is seeing, some of the restaurants have decided to completely change, whether it was their menu or they're, obviously expanding their delivery zone, or their whole business model basically changed. And, some restaurants, either whether it was like, Organic Grill that decided, you know what, we're going to close and we're going to reevaluate things and figure out, how we're going to move forward, and take it one day at a time. That's still a way of evolving. You know what I mean? That's still,
Yes.
still a way of like, you're saying, okay, I'm going to figure this out, that, everyone operates differently and everyone's business is different. Whereas some other people said, like, you know what, we're going to deliver to 4 out of 5 boroughs. And that's a huge service to the community, because there aren't that many places still delivering vegan food.
And guys, how when you started a podcast, it evolved your business, your activity, your part in being vegans. What reactions you get when you ask people to be your guests? Tell us about the podcast a little, and the name of the podcast as well.
Yeah, sure. So the name of the podcast is The Vegan Connection.
It's really a passion project of
Yeah.
ours. It's not something that generates income. It's something we kind of invest our own money into to highlight vegan businesses, really, and just kind of put the spotlight on, the vegan business owners and what they did to, kind of get to where they are. And, veganism recently was almost like a counterculture. So it's interesting to see how these, vegan pioneers or people who got in on the business, what led them there and kind of what fueled their passion to kind of take that next step and, give it everything they had. So to us, that was really the interesting part that we wanted to highlight and share with everyone.
And
I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's what we do at OG Talk with our TV show. Exactly what you said. We're trying to create, we are creating factual information, places that people are comfortable to go to, and to bring in people who are passionate about it. And
so the one thing about this community is, in order to be vegan, especially in this stage and in this year, right? In order to be vegan, you have to already think outside of the box, right? So you're already somebody who's really going against what you've been told your whole life, more likely than not. So that creates really like special business owners, because that's like, I think that out of necessity, there have been some really creative restaurants or food establishments that maybe aren't necessarily a sit-down restaurant, but I think that there's so much innovation in the vegan community that's also, they're also innovating in like the business sense that's different than maybe the way traditional restaurants or food establishments operate. Okay, so name some of the people that you've had as guests, people that are coming up, because, a lot of people be interested to, for different reasons. Yes. So actually 2 people that we've interviewed who are not restaurant owners that are coming up are Ethan and Michael of Vegan Mo's. And they're very involved in the community, from Ethan's involvement in Woodstock Sanctuary to both of what they do for animals. They've written a book. And that was really interesting because we talked a lot about animals and activism and their journey of going vegan, which I think is a really great podcast for anyone who's open to transitioning. And then another episode that we haven't published yet is one with Jill Carnegie, who is a really amazing, incredible activist. But she is also one of the owners of New Moo Cheese, which is a vegan mozzarella cheese. Eric, do you want to talk about what podcast we have published?
Yeah, our most recent one, I believe, was the Monks Meets Vegan Smokehouse podcast.
Yeah.
His story was really incredible too. He went from being a lawyer to, opening up a vegan barbecue business. It was quite a 180. But and they're also currently doing delivery and trying to serve the community. So that's a really great story. And then we also did Cinnamon Snail, which was really interesting. You know, Cinnamon Snail recently closed, and you know, the owner Adam kind of gave us some insight into his journey in the restaurant industry, you know, all the trials and tribulations, and here we are. You know, now it's kind of like the end of an era with that.
We recorded before. We've recorded in I think November. I think, or maybe we recorded last year and we published it last year. It was the last one we published. And what was interesting is that he kind of gave a little foreshadowing, kind of what was to come. Like, I didn't know that Cinnamon Snail was going to close, but I think he was trying to figure out what he was going to do around the time that I sat down with him. So it was a really interesting podcast, because I actually, once he announced that they were closing, I went actually back and listened to it, and it was really interesting with the fact that he's closing now and trying to open up a completely different concept. But
it was quite the journey.
It was quite the journey, but he also was one of like the first, like he had the first vegan food truck. It's one of the first vegan businesses in New York to really make a splash and really get people that aren't vegan to eat vegan food, because that's what he was doing by going around to all the different office areas.
Right, so important, you know, with the OG Talk NYC, we, you know, a lot of our guests aren't vegan, but once they sample it, then they're like, oh my God, this food is amazing. And
yeah,
you know, it's really, really kind of a big shock. You know, there's a guy named Vlad Grinberg you should have on your show. He has quite a story. I don't know if you've ever met him before, but
guys, and what is the general public think about your podcast? Did you get any reaction? Like, do you talk to people? Do people DM you? Like, what is the general consensus? Do people like it? What do they ask you to do? Do they want you to pivot to any other directions? Like,
to be honest with you, the only feedback we've gotten are people that are really excited about it, asking us when the next one is going to come out. And, you know, I think that it's like another way for them to connect. You know, food is a very personal thing. And so if you love the food from a place, you want to know more about it. And I think that this community has, and each restaurant or establishment has made, you know, their own connection with their consumers, with their customers. And I think that it makes each episode unique in the sense that it's kind of catered towards, even though it's all under the vegan community, I think each episode speaks more towards, you know, different people in different ways depending on their relationship with the establishment.
Well, that's wonderful. And, you know, we really appreciate you coming here and, you know, under the circumstances, you know, because this information is very important to get out there. We respect you guys like crazy.
Oh,
please,
yeah, very mutual.
Yes. And please let people know again how they can reach you on social media and where they can tune in to hear your podcast. One more time.
New Yorker on Instagram.
Say it again. Sorry, you got cut off. Say it again.
Oh, sorry. So we're the Vegan New Yorker on Instagram, and our podcast is called the Vegan Connection Podcast, and you can listen to it on Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts.
And of course, we're OG Talk NYC, that you can, you know, watch us on YouTube, and then all of the platforms you can listen to us. Again, Christina and Eric, Vlad and I thank you so much, and we wish you a beautiful day and lots of love and safety to you and your families.
Thank you so much. Look forward to having you on the
yeah, and I just wanted to say that as a vendor, I think what you do, guys, is very important. You are helping not only customers and people who are vegan, but also helping businesses to do what they do. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Vlad. And thank you so much for everything that you guys said, some very kind things. Thank you so much. We are big fans of both of you guys, and we love your podcast. We love the food at Organic Grill. We can't wait for you to open back up. We will, you know, definitely rally for you guys. We are so you know, we're so ready for everyone to get back to normal life and open back up. We just want everyone to be able to do it safely. But thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.